Welcome everyone to episode 80 of Raw Sport. We have a huge episode today. We have all the legends in the house. Episode number 80 needed to be a huge episode. And boy, oh boy, are we delivering. We'll start off with the man who joins me every week, Mr. Rick Glaser. Rick, hey, how you doing, buddy? How's things?
Great. It's been a good week. Just happy to have a legend on. A legend that actually had gloves on. The only gloves I've ever had on were winter gloves. So glad to have the legend Jeff Fenech with us tonight. I was a young man before I entered the boxing, and I was watching Jeff Fenech beat Steve McQuarrie, beat them all. I mean, it was an all-time great fighter, Olympian, world amateur champ, world professional champ in three different weight categories when it was tough to win three different weight categories. And, a great honor to have him on the show tonight.
Absolutely. And as Rick has stated, we've got boxing Hall of Famer, boxing legend, Mr. Jeff Fenech. Jeff, how you doing, mate? How's things?
I'm doing great. Four-time world champion now, Rick, but
Four.
doesn't mean that.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter if it's one.
That's even harder. Wait, that's even harder.
Yeah,
Rick.
like I said, for me, it's excuse me. I want my legacy not to be about my fighting. I want my legacy to be about the lessons I learned through boxing and the ones that I can pass on to people to make them better people. I made a few mistakes in my life, but I'm still here. I'm still able to tell people not to make those mistakes and be a better person from them all.
Well, I know you're a great trainer and manager not these days. I've heard it from many people, and there's always truth in quantity. Everybody can't be wrong. So, I'm glad you continued on in the game, and you're passing that knowledge and your experience, your world-class experience on the younger folks, and they're learning from you, and they're succeeding in boxing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's important for me to give back to the sport that gave me everything. I would doubt if I'd be here today if it wasn't for boxing. I think I'd either be in jail or dead. So, I love boxing. I owe it my life.
All right, gentlemen.
Bill Morty, I taught when I was with Bill Morty when Costa Zoo was fighting in Vegas. And that was in January of '95 when they fought, I believe it was. When he fought, I think it was Jake Rodriguez. And exactly what he said about you is he says, Jeff, great fighter, my favorite person, and he had nothing but great things to say about you. So that's a real testament to the person, not only the great fighter you are, but the person that you are.
Yeah, that's nice. I was very, very blessed, to have met Bill so early in my career, and he took a few massive gambles, and thank God that I could do what Johnny Lewis thought I could do, and I won all my fights, so I repaid them all in full.
Mm-hmm. Well, between Bill Morty, Johnny Lewis, and Don Majeski assisting Bill Morty, you had a great team around you, no question about that. And most people don't get one great guy around them. You had three. So
yeah, Don Majeski was a very special part of our team. He had a job to do to bring me the right fighters, and he gave me some tough tests, like Daniel Zaragoza in my 10th fight, or Steve McCrory in my 12th. So you got to think of this. After my 12th fight, I'd fought for the world title 4 times, 15 rounds. So, it was pretty special.
Wow.
yeah.
Hey, so gentlemen, I mean, it's good for you guys to catch up and share some good old memories, and but we need to get a bit deeper. Jeff, you said off air, if we had a few more Don Majeskis involved in boxing would be in a better place. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, definitely so. Don was a man that helped everybody, and whatever Don got as a reward or what he received, he really deserved it. He worked for his fighters. He worked for the team, and that's why he's still such a beautiful name. admired today, especially by the WBC, but everybody involved in boxing that has done something with Don Majeski knows that he's real. I mean, all these other guys today are all fake, and they try to steal fighters off each other. They talk bad about people, but they only do it on Instagram and Facebook because not too many are tough enough to say to people's faces. Anybody can be a keyboard warrior or tell you go and F yourself over the phone. Man, let them come and say it to your face is different. So look, we live in such a different world, so with all this social media and stuff that it's sad. Like I said, Dom Majeski will tell you, I never said one bad thing about any of my opponents. I just went there. I never stared at them before a fight. I never stared at them at a weigh-in. I let my fist do the talk, and I had 15,000 people every time I fought. So, the world's changed today.
Wow. Gentlemen, you both have seen boxing evolve over the years through the influence of different powers, different individuals. Rick's got some interesting perspective on the PBC era and where that's heading now. Now, let's look at the Saudis from a different perspective, from a perspective where none of us, we owe nothing to no one, basically, right? I'll start with you, Rick. I mean, me and you spoken about this a ton. And this week you said to me you were going to get back on some information.
Even in person in LA, right?
Exactly. Off the screen, off the camera, we've had long conversations. Mm-hmm. And this week you were meant to validate some stuff for us. Did you do some research about the boxing league that was meant to be?
Yes. The WBC is going to be sanctioned. It's legitimately going to be top 40 fighters fighting each other. It was originally said young prospects, and it's not going to be. It's going to be contenders.
And is that the league that's going to be backed by the Saudis?
It's backed by the Saudis, but I don't know if it's going to be a league. I don't know. They don't know the exact format yet. They're not sure of the exact format. They're formulating plans, but it is going to be contenders fighting each other.
Jeff, did you hear anything about it?
No, I have heard, and I'm very close to WBC. Mauricio Suleiman's one of my great friends, and I did read about that might happen. And when I think of it, I think it's a great thing that if we can put enough shows on and let everybody fight off. Listen, like I used to always say, if I can't be the best in my country, how am I going to be the best in the world? And this is a big stepping stone. We've got the Saudis on board with a lot of money, which is great. Some people are getting a little spoilt by it, but I believe that they're in it for the right reasons. They want boxing to thrive, and hopefully, with their help, we'll maybe get back to the most popular combat sport instead of the Dana White and the UFC. Yeah, so
What's your thoughts on Dana White getting involved in boxing, Jeff? Start with you.
To be honest, I just think Dana White's a great guy. I've met him, and whatever he gets involved in, it's a 24-hour a day job. I mean, I doubt that guy sleeps too much. I think everything he wants to do it perfectly. I'm a huge fan of his. I mean, look what he's done to the UFC. I mean, he's kicked us all this. They've got their own channel on TV. You can watch it all day. Mate, he's given us all a lesson, and if we can use that lesson to get better in boxing, or can we use the same man who's taught us that lesson, you don't get better than that. Dana White is a truly great man.
Rick?
I think Dana White's big attraction is he attracts younger people for between the shaved head, the T-shirts, the muscles. Even though he's older, I think he attracts a younger crowd, and I think that's part of the MMA look or persona. Let's just say, I think he'll cross over and I think he'll have those fans cross over and come to boxing also. I think that's going to be good for the sport. I think Dana White will be good overall for the sport, but he's got to remember something different than MMA is different than boxing in this sense. These fighters have managers, these fighters have advisors, these fighters have lawyers. The MMA fighters have very little of that. They're mostly college-educated guys. You pay them a reasonable amount of money, they fight. Boxing's a different sport altogether. Part of the problem in boxing is if you lose, it's almost like you're out of business, and every time you lose, it's a comeback. Where in MMA you lose, they just recycle you and they bring you back 90 days later. They don't do that in
Right?
boxing.
Listen, the good thing about that is these guys are fighting each other 14-3, 14-6. Everybody gets a chance in the UFC, you know?
No,
It
no, no.
doesn't,
I
doesn't matter
like
if
it.
you've had a few
No,
losses.
right. I like that everybody just should be fighting and stuff. In the old days, and I'm talking about when the old days is before you and I were involved in the sport, and Jeff, you were in it obviously before me, but the guys had 19 losses, 28 losses. They were fighting for world titles. They had 80 wins, 90 wins. It's a whole different business today. You know, Sugar Ray Robinson's last year he fought in 1965. He had 14 fights his last year.
Wow.
Fighters were fighting all the time back then. I mean, literally, they get out of the ring and they'd be on to the next city, and a week later they'd be fighting again. I mean, it's incredible. You know, you take New York City to Chicago over here in America, and they would fight in New York. They'd stop in like Syracuse and fight, then Buffalo, then they go on to Cleveland, then they go on to Detroit, then Chicago over like on the train. They'd travel on the train. This is going back obviously 100 years ago, but they would fight like 6 times in like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
now, if you're a PBC fighter, they fight every 14.1 months on an average. I mean, it would it would take a guy 7 years to fight, 7.5 years to fight 6 fights.
Well, yeah, we've got to remember this too. What these guys are getting today, just to sign on, if you've got potential. These guys, I listened to Michael Jordan the other day talking about the guys with potential in basketball are making as much money as, you know, that those great players made, you know, without even, you know, doing anything in the sport. And it's the same as boxing today, you know. You know,
Oh no, I
yeah,
agree.
if you beat the right person or if you got the right name and the right promoter, yeah, you're going to get more in one fight than some of our greatest fighters ever got in their life.
Absolutely. And that's a big problem actually. If you ask me, in today's world, is the
It's a
top
problem.
the
You're right.
top is too top heavy, the bottom is dry as. The bottom has to pay to fight. Like there's no balance. Let's go back to this league. If the WBC is sanctioning this league, right, there's going to be losses and there's going to be wins and there's going to be people who lose multiple times. Turkey Australia came out a couple of weeks ago and said it's time to move on from the era of being scared of losing the O. I think we're going to see that transition, gentlemen. I think that's going to finally happen, where these younger guys are going to start getting chances. It doesn't matter how many losses they have. If they're fan favorites, if they're entertaining, if they can put on a fight, I think we're going to start seeing much more of that.
Right. If
Your thoughts?
basically speaking, he's saying if he's saying if you give 1,000% of yourself, okay, and you try your hardest, give 1,000, you're going to be invited back as soon as you're ready to fight again. That's
Well,
what
then
he's
again,
saying,
guys,
and that's the way it
then
should be.
again, it's up to the fighter. I mean, if they would have told me to fight every week, you know, broken hands, I would have fought. Today they don't need to because they're getting so much money, and they don't need to fight like, you know, 16 times in 3 months or whatever it may have been. And like I said, when we talk about the O, mate, I lost my O, but guess what that done to me? It made me the greatest person I've ever been. It made me realise who my real friends were. It made me realise, yeah, that I'm no bigger or better than anybody else. So my first O was my favourite fight of all time. When Azuma Nelson beat me, that's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And that's why I'm sitting here with us today, being able to talk and talk openly because, yeah, because of the O. If I had no O, I'd have something still stuck up my backside, something run out of my nose, and I'm happy I've never done that shit, and I am, you know, I'm happy that I had the O. I mean, listen, I love Floyd Mayweather, and I love the way he just tells it the way it is. But for me, you know, having my losses made me the man I am today.
Wow, absolutely. If you look at the UFC, if we go back again, the UFC, some of their most entertaining fighters or the fights that win the fights of the year, the fights with fighters that have multiple losses. Look, the innovation that's brought into the sport. Like, for example, they brought in the BMF title, which is the baddest motherfucker title, right? Like, what's that? All it is two guys who have built this persona that they built for them as bad boys. multiple losses, but it doesn't matter because when they come to fight, the world tunes in. And I think if boxing can get us back to that, the famous
why does the world tune in? Because they've got a great promoter, Dana White. Dana knows
story,
you don't have to have 0-0 or 21-0 and 25-0 to make a good fight. These two guys go out there and they put on a good show, and people think, "Wow, look at that record, and look what these guys are doing. They're trying 110%, and that's what boxing, that's what life's about, and that's what sports about."
Ricky, it's the PBC curse. What do you reckon?
PBC, they're
It's the
fucked.
PBC curse. The O.
But when Turkey Al-Sheikh came out with the 1995 to 29.95 pay-per-views, and PBC still 79.95, they're done.
Well, we got
over.
Benavidez versus David Morrell this week.
Which is a pay-per-view flop.
A pay-per-view. How do you reckon the fight's going to flop? You got much else to say?
Financially, it's going to flop. And no, it's going to be a good fight. I think that Benavidez stops him late. I think he's got more. I think he's got a lot more experience, especially in bigger fights. He's bigger and stronger. The other guy's a touch faster. I think the experience in longer fights will show up because Morrell's got too many of his fighters out of there real early in fights, and that doesn't bode well when you're going up against a seasoned guy like Benavidez, who's still in his prime, by the way. And I think that I can see Benavidez stopping him in like 8, 9, 10 rounds, but I can also see it being a pay-per-view flop.
Jeff, what do you reckon, mate?
I hope it's not a flop because it's the sport that I love, boxing. But I think it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a competitive fight early, and I also think Benavidez will win.
What's the point of this fight, Rick?
What's the point of it? They're both getting paid. That's what they do for a living.
I'm trying to say that he's better than the other.
No, I mean, in terms of Benavidez, his career, what's it doing for him?
He doesn't have anybody. He doesn't have anybody to fight.
Doing nothing for him though. But
yeah, but he doesn't have anybody to fight.
I don't know.
Who's he going to fight? That's the answer. See, there is nobody.
Canelo Alvarez.
That ain't that. We know that's not happening. Canelo's going to fight Crawford.
So he didn't put up the 150 million, apparently.
Well, he's not going to get 150 million, but he'll get 90 million, and Crawford will probably get 50 or 60.
No, we're talking about what Canelo asked for to fight Benavidez, apparently.
Oh, okay, yeah. Probably get 90 to fight Crawford. Maybe Crawford gets 50 or 60.
Stupid money.
It's going to be a huge fight. Crawford and Canelo is bigger than Benavidez and
Canelo.
Canelo. Yeah, because it's two different cultures.
Yeah.
Number
the
one,
and the black,
completely. Yeah, because Hispanic and black and normal Anglos will watch. And here's the big thing: it's such a there's so much mystique to Crawford because he's moving up in weight. He's got this killer reputation now, ever since he destroyed Spence, and people just want to see this to see if he can really pull this off.
Interesting.
I like Crawford in the fight. I think except for the physical strength, and I think that Crawford's got better balance, which will offset some of that strength. I believe that Crawford's faster. I believe Crawford has a higher ring IQ. I believe he's more nimble on his feet. He can switch lefty to righty, and I think that his judging of range and distance is superior to other fighters, except maybe for Ban Rodriguez, Usyk, and Oscar Collazo, and they're all left-handed. I think that's going to pose a lot of problems with Canelo. Remember something about Canelo, gentlemen. He's only 5'7", and Crawford's 5'8.5". Benavidez is 6'3", so Benavidez would pose a big problem for Canelo or Crawford.
Rick,
that's not going to be a problem for
Rick,
Crawford.
It's funny you say that because in the last couple of fights that I've watched Crawford, and even way back when he fought Jeff Horn was a strong guy who went forward. He had no opportunity. Crawford just spun him around when he needed to. had beautiful balance, great footwork, and with balance and footwork, if you got good foundation, you're twice as strong as your opponent if you know where to put him.
Yeah,
And that
I just
I've never
did.
been impressed with
Jeff,
anybody more than Crawford doing that.
right? Didn't I just say that?
Well, that's why I repeated
The
because it's
balance.
so. I've seen the same thing. I
Yeah,
mean, like I've seen these strong guys trying to roll him over and push him, and he just because his feet are in great position, he just turns them around.
yeah. The balance will offset the strength. Guys that know the science, like yourself, myself. Okay, we understand that. The average guy says, "Oh my God, look how big and
Yeah,
strong
nothing
he
to do
is."
with big
He's
and
not.
strong.
No, nothing to do with big and strong.
What do you
Thank you.
guys think of Canelo Alvarez's comment saying he's only beaten one good fighter, as in Spence?
Well, he can say what he wants to say, but he's what 41, 42 and 0, 43 and 0, whatever he is. I mean, he's beaten everybody they put
Yeah,
in front of him, and most guys wouldn't. And by the way, he did beat Sean Porter too. He did beat some good guys. He beat Cavalicius, so that's not true. But realistically, he's one of those type of fighters. I believe he can climb all mountains. He's just one of those rare
Rick,
fighters.
you took the words right out of my mouth, mate. All you can do is beat who they put in front of you. He didn't ask for the 40 odd opponents. They asked to fight him, and he's beaten every one of them. He's beaten them all convincingly, and yeah, he's a very, very special fighter. Look, it's a,
Well, look at how many fighters were never the same after Crawford beat him. Jose Benavidez, what's his name's
David's
brother,
brother, yeah,
David Benavidez's
smashed him.
brother. Sean Porter retired on the spot. Earl Spencer's never fought again. Gamboa was a shot fight. Every fighter was shot after he fought him. They were never the same. And Jeff Horn was
never
never
the
the
same.
same. The beats downs are numerous, and if there's truth in quantity, everybody can't be wrong, right?
That's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, we'll stay on the PBC conversation. Jeff's boy, because
Why?
Jeff's boy's fighting Keith Thurman. Is Keith going to show up, Rick?
Of course, he's going to show up.
He's got a reputation,
I
Jeff.
believe right. He's got a reputation, but I will say this: if I believe he needs the money, I also believe he wants to get back in action because he needs the money. And I think if he doesn't get injured, he's very injury prone. He has been in recent years, since 2018, and he's injury prone. And if he doesn't get injured, he will get on the plane. Okay, but he is injury prone. I'm just saying to you that if he gets injured, he's pulling out. He's not one of those kind of guys that'll say, "Oh, it's only my this, only that. I'm going to fight. I can win." It'll give him an excuse to pull out. That's his mentality. He's not exactly a warrior, Jeff, like you.
Oh, yeah, whatever he is, look, I can just tell you one thing, and I'll get this across, and I want this in my boxer's mind that there's not too many fighters who beat him either. Yeah, the fight with Pacquiao was as close as split decision. He got dropped in the first round. He got back up and went through hell against one of the greatest fighters in history, and lost on a split decision. Yeah, he beat the likes of Porter. Porter can fight. Porter's a special guy, and he's beaten them all. So all I can say is that for me, I won't speak about anything or anybody else until the fight's over.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that fight, and I would say that your fighter's going to
Thank
win.
you very much. I'd like to see that as well. We've got a lot of hard work to do. Finish sparring today, sparred some good rounds, and we'll slowly build up. And and we'll be well. The one thing that he'll be ready on fight night. And it's listen, I can do everything I've got to do every day, but I can't fight the fight for him. I love it when these guys, somebody on Instagram or some crap said today that I can't train anybody. They don't realise I train Sergio Victor Chinin, Danny Green, Hussein, and I can't listen. All I just tell them, please, the first thing I was write to them is, can you just tell me how many fights you've had or what knowledge you've got? And and then I tell them, more than likely you've lost a couple of fights at home with your wife, so shut the F up. Yeah, I'm not going to let these guys talk shit to me.
But I'm not going to. I'm not going to tell you what I asked 3 different boxing guys from Australia. Who would you rather spend one night without? And all 3 said you. Just to let you know.
They're all going to be safe going home with me. If my dad taught me one thing, Rick, if you go out with your friend, you go home with him. So, irrespective if I was world champion at the time, something happened to you, my brother. No, it's going to happen to me as well.
Jeff, you got to spend some time with Rick because he's fighting trolls all day on Twitter. So
Yeah.
give you a couple of good pointers. All right, let's get back. Let's keep going. It's been announced George Kambosos will be fighting on the 22nd of March in Sydney, Australia, on the zone. His opponent is a lesser-known opponent in terms of his reputation and profile. Daud Yordan, I think. I hope I said that right. What do you reckon of this fight, Rick?
He's halfway between Jeff's age and my age, for Christ's sake. I mean, like dog years. I mean, come on, this guy's woof. Talking about digging a guy up out of the bottom of the river. This is it right here.
And again, let me just say things because, like,
Jeff, what do you reckon, mate?
Well, let me just say, I've been speaking to George over the last couple of weeks because we have a mutual friend named Hector, who's a beautiful guy who's bringing out UFC champion here on the 14th of February, Alex Pereira, to do a dinner and stuff. And we're both going to be there. But look, I just tell the truth. And people talk to me about George Kambosos and what George done on the night that he beat Teofimo was unbelievable. Did he fight the real Teofimo? I say no, because I spoke to Teofimo in America saying how he was going to knock him out in one round and this, that. So that's the guy who's, I don't believe prepared properly. But guess what? George done it. Then I look at the three fights that he had after. He wants to say he's the greatest Australian fighter and this and that. And listen, he's won 4 rounds in his last 3 fights. I mean, for me, that doesn't spell anything as a fighter. I mean, he had a great.
I think
he had
met.
a great win. And like I said,
Jeff, let me contradict you. I believe he meant the greatest Greek Australian fighter ever. Is what he meant to say.
Repeat that.
I believe what George meant was he's the greatest Greek Australian fighter ever.
Well, I definitely don't believe that either, because we don't have many Greek fighters, so he might be the only one. So, but I'm not listening. But
That's why.
That doesn't bother me.
That's why.
When you become a champion, it's how long you can hold that title for. Not one defense. I defended my bantamweight title 3 times. I defended my super bantamweight title 3 times. I defended my featherweight title, and then I won the junior lightweight title. I was undefeated through all that. And then I tell you, I lost my next fight, and guess what? That's why I'm sitting here with you guys today, just being honest, because the greatest thing that happened to me is I got sat on my ass by a great fighter who taught me a lesson for being a big head and thinking that I was just going to win the fight without doing anything. And that would have been the same as, Teofimo. I was in America with him. He's telling me how he's going to kill George in 1 round, and his father's there doing the same. It's just crazy.
Look, this fight night, George is what he has achieved. Nobody can take away from him. He's one of the hardest workers in the sport.
Definitely so.
Yeah, we wish him all the best.
But
this fight,
I wish George wins and continues to win and continues to make money and continues to keep Australian boxing on the map because he's doing that. But like I said, I'm just one of these guys who's just gonna. If you tell me to spell cat, it's not going to be TAC. It's going to be CAT. I'm not. I don't pull punch. I just. That's my opinion only. People could be different. They can say whatever they want. But like I said, that's my opinion.
So we got George Kambosos, we got Sky Nicholson, and we got Sugar Neeks as the 3 highlights and main attractions in this one. I personally think it's going to flop. I don't know. It could add fuel to the fire at the zone and why they were losing so much money at one stage. But I mean, I would have thought that they would have had a bit more meat up the top in terms of George's opponent, just to bring it. It's in Sydney. It's one of his first fights back in Sydney. It's big card, the Opera House, the Harbour Bridge. You know what it is, Jeff. You live in Sydney. It's a massive occasion. But
let's just say again, it is a massive occasion. I mean, the 2 girls can really fight. George can really fight, but I don't know. It's going to be. I don't really think it's going to be hard to promote. I mean, it's a huge thing in Australia. We love our boxing. Well, my
I think it's big in Australia and good, but I don't think around the world people are going to care on the
no,
zone. I
I
don't see
agree
it
with you
doing good
totally.
ratings.
You know, and let me just tell you, and again, let me just tell you. I mean, you used to watch George's fight against the English fighter. Who do you think won that fight? Honestly, I'm honest. I've done the fight. Who do you think won?
That was questionable.
Yeah, what do you mean
Yeah.
questionable? Yeah, yeah,
Would,
the whole world watching.
well, against
Yeah,
Maxi
yeah,
Hughes?
yeah. I haven't heard many people.
Oh, Maxi Hughes kicked the
Yep.
Yeah,
shit
you
out of
know,
him.
and George has kept that position, which good luck to him. Everybody deserves a bit of luck, and he made his own luck, so he deserves it. He's travelled the world, fought and done things the hardest way possible. But like I said, I'm this guy, mate. When you lose, I want to lose. I don't want my hand raised in victory when I know. You know if somebody punches you in the head more than you punch him in the head.
Absolutely, mate. All right, we will keep going. Inoue blasted his opponent within 4 rounds. Sam Goodman, the Aussie, was meant to fight him, rescheduled twice. Unfortunately, couldn't fight him. What's next for the monster?
He's the greatest fighter in the world by
Uh,
far. I mean, he should be mentioned with Terence Crawford every day.
Rick,
I agree. I
who's
agree.
going to fight next?
He's gonna fight. He's gonna fight Picasso, the guy they call Picasso, coming up in this summer in Las Vegas. I'm not sure if it's gonna be May, June. I'm not sure the exact date, but he's fighting Picasso coming up in Las Vegas. Inoue is. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. All right, we'll keep going to the last part of our segment. Oscar De La Hoya on his Clapback Thursdays went to town on the on the Haneys, and he labelled them as the biggest crybabies in boxing. That's what they're going to be remembered for. What do you reckon, Rick? I mean, these.
I can't agree more with him. He's 1,000% correct. When you sue somebody for battery, what happens in a boxing ring? I mean, they put themselves out with people in the business. They put themselves out with fans. I mean, it's like a pissing contest. I mean, Devin, open up your mouth. People want to piss in it. I mean, what a fuck, what a bunch of idiots.
But what's he trying to
Crazy.
achieve here? I don't understand. Like,
I don't know. I don't understand anything these people do. What I really believe, that they really thought that they could win a lawsuit based on that, and they tried, and it didn't go anywhere, so they dropped the lawsuit. And now, what Turkey El Sheikh says: drop the lawsuit. This is what I'm going to do for you. This is what I'm going to do for you, and you guys are going to be fighting, and then they'll fight.
Hello?
The two of them will
we still
fight
got you,
again.
Jeff. We still got you. You still with us, mate? Someone must have called you for sure. He's always getting phone calls. Jeff, can you hear us?
Hello?
One sec, Jeff. One sec. We'll get him back on. Jeff, can you hear us, mate? No, we've lost him there, unfortunately. But look, at the end of the day, we can only go off what's been put in front of us, Rick, and it's just disappointing to see what they're trying to do, and it just makes the sport look so bad. And I don't understand.
Makes them look
Yeah,
terrible. It kills their brand.
absolutely. So now everyone knows them as the ones. Jeff, you back,
Hey,
mate?
back. I'm back. I
Yeah.
want to just say one thing. This is no disrespect to any. Listen, everybody talks about these father relationships. They always go up and down. And honestly, I've never seen a father that gets as involved as Crawford's dad. And I'm sorry, is
Haney is that. Haney.
Haney's dad. I mean, listen, your son's now an adult. Let him do his own stuff. Let him talk for himself. Let him become a man on his own. You don't need to protect the kid. The kid's an amazing young man. I love him. He's a great person. He can fight. Let him get on with the world. I mean, all this stuff they're doing to him is just slowly going to pull him apart. And if he loses in the rematch, that great talent is gone.
Well,
He's 26 years old. He should be able to speak for himself.
100%.
200%.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that, look, I mean, this is why Turkey is so admired now in boxing, because he's resolved these things before they got ugly. Like I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
from what I've heard, he's taken him aside and said, "Drop the bloody lawsuit. Let's do this. Let's do that." He's put him in a fight at Madison Square Garden. At Times Square, right? Open to the public. And then if they both win, him and Ryan, they're going to face a massive event. The whole world will cover that bloody event.
But there again, can I just say my own opinion?
Of course, always.
All right, so Devon got knocked out. I mean, why? I mean, yeah, he's going to get money. What's more important to me as a father? My son's health or money? It's quite opposite. I would say we don't need that guy. He's too big. He just proved whatever. You know, let's find somebody else. Let's build our boundaries up around us and get him find somebody
What
else.
I would have done, Jeff, what I would have done, and I'm a guy that helped rebuild Roberto Duran, Macho Camacho. What I would have done with him, to be perfectly frank, I would have taken him away from big time fights for 1 full year from his first fight, and fought 3 times in a year, and learn how to get out of the way of left hooks.
And let me tell you something
I
else.
would have stayed.
We've lost Jeff again. Somebody keeps calling him. God bless. That's all right. He'll definitely come back in, and we'll get his opinion on that. But that's made a very valid point there, Rick. I mean, why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they go away? Jeff, you got us, mate?
Yeah. What I'm saying is, yeah, anybody, listen, and I'm not sure if Devin Haney's father has boxed before, but anybody can tell you how to block.
No,
Look, they can tell you how to block a punch.
gloves
They can
on before.
unless somebody shows you how to do it in the art of doing it. Yeah. It's simple. Look, Manuel Stewart was a great trainer, the greatest ever. Manuel would say, but just having your hands in front of your face. Well, listen, if somebody goes hook you with a long punch, it's moving your hands 2 inches. Your reflexes can see that if you're a great fighter. And I mean, I've seen Devin is, but he hasn't been shown or explained how to stop that left hook.
Wow. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's been quite the episode. I want to thank yourself, Rick. Thank you, Jeff,
thank you
for absolutely jumping on, sharing your thoughts, your golden opinions, but both of you. Any last words from each one of you? We'll start with Rick.
It's been an honor to be on with Jeff. Jeff, I'd like to see you on here more often if you can. You add a lot to it. You add a different perspective, and you're a legend. You're iconic, and you're part of the world. And in this part of the world, you're a legend. So you can't go wrong in either areas, right?
I like to just say one thing. Like I said, I've had a great boxing career and stuff, but for me, my life today is not about boxing. And although I love it, it's about being able to share and help people that need help, because without the people who paid to watch me fight, I wouldn't own this beautiful house. So I just want people out there to know that I'm no bigger or better than anybody else. And if anybody out there needs me for anything, way, shape or form, I'd love to be the person to help you.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us. Hopefully we can have you more.
Rick.
Take care, everyone. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Nice talk with you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care, Jeff.